Hello and welcome everyone for another Legacy video. I think it is time for another Legacy update because I have been having some great results lately with my new Legacy build, and I honestly believe that this is what Legacy Infect is going to look like moving forward. I have created a new build for you. I really call this Legacy Bant Infect 2.0 because I think when we go over the list, you will see that I've made a lot of changes, and I will go into detail about the changes, why I've made them, why I've made some adaptations into the sideboard as well, and I'll go over into detail about my decisions and why I've been tinkering around with the numbers, and I've also done some crazy stuff like cut vines of Vastwood, so I will go into detail into that. First, let's go over my recent results. I actually, when I'm recording this the weekend before, on Saturday, I top 4'd a 80-person Legacy event in the Netherlands called Bazaar of Boxes. It was sold out, by the way. And I wrote also a tournament report about that tournament, where I go into detail about all my matches and discuss a bit more about the card selection, but I'm going to talk through that as well here. I'm going to link the tournament report in the description, so check it out if you're interested. And I've also, with this list specifically, after I top 4'd that tournament, I also went 5-0 on Magic Online, where I made some small tweaks, and I will go over those soon as well, because the 5-0 that I'm going to show you right here is also going to be that list specifically. Now, I'm not going to play live now, I'm just going to show you the matches, because, well, I wasn't planning on going 5-0, but whenever I go 5-0, I do record. But the matches were great, and also the cards that I'm playing here really mattered. So I think it's excellent and a good idea to record for you, because a 5-0 is always interesting, and especially if I also had a top 4 with that list specifically, I think it's good to show you how powerful the list is. Should note that in the tournament I went first seed, so I went 5-0, and then I was able to ID twice. So I went undefeated until the semi-finals, when unfortunately I lost. But if you want to read into that into detail, just check out the tournament report over there. So honestly, I think I've also been tracking my win rate since the bannings in Legacy, and my win rate right now is the highest it has literally ever been. It's over 70%, which is nuts, and it's over 100 matches played, so it's becoming pretty relevant. Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going back to the old build. I think this really is the most powerful thing that you can be doing. So let's go over what I've created, why I've made certain choices, and why I believe you should be doing this as well if you're playing Infect. First, before we go on, I want to note that if you're looking right here, I'm playing 4 scale-ups in this list. That is not what I'm playing in real life. In real life, I'm playing a split of 2 scale-ups and 2 embiggens, but embiggen is not online on Magic Online yet, so if you are playing Paper Magic, I would advise you to play 2 scale-ups and 2 embiggens. That's what I'm doing, at least. So just a quick notice. Also, in real life, I'm not playing 4 Windswept Heaths. I'm playing 4 Flooded Strands. Yeah, maybe I should just address why I'm doing that. I'm playing 4 Flooded Strands because in real life, not everyone knows me, because not everyone consumes a lot of content online. So that means I'm playing Flooded Strands because Flooded Strand usually does not put my opponents on Infect. They usually, like, they think I'm Delver. Mostly they think I'm a control deck when you're seeing Flooded Strand. So Windswept Heath really pushes you towards Infect more. So I think it's better to play 4 Flooded Strands to confuse my opponents a bit. Hence the decision. Online, I'm not doing that because everyone knows me online. Or you can just search up who you're up against. So I'm not bothering doing that online. So what else have I done? I'm playing. You can see that I'm playing 4 Windswept Heath, 4 Misty Rainforests. It's actually pretty irrelevant. Just ensure that you can fetch up all your lands. And I should know that I'm playing 1 Savannah, which is pretty normal if you're playing white. But I'm also playing 1 Tundra, which is a bit unusual. And I've decided to do that because what you want to be able to do is, if you have Skrelv turn 1, what you want to be able to do is you want to fetch up Tundra and have Daze up. Now that's how powerful Skrelv is, and then that's why I decided to play Tundras, which means you need to adjust your fetch land, so you can always fetch up Tundra if you want. So basically, as long as you can fetch up green, blue, or white, you should be good. That's why Windswept Heath works, but also Flooded Strand works. let's go over the rest. I should address the best one, the best edition that we've gotten for first, I believe, Skrelv Defector Mite. And I've been getting so many questions about the card, why I think it's good, people who think it's not good, and let me go over why I believe that it's worth it. First of all, let's go over the card, right? So Toxic 1, that means that if it deals combat damage, you also get a poison counter. I should note that Infect and Toxic, they do scale, and that's probably the main reason why Skrelv is better than Mother of Runes, because I've gotten questions about why not play Mother of Runes, and the Toxic one is very, very important. The rest of what the card says is pretty much the same as Mother of Runes, so except it can't block itself, but that's irrelevant. You're never going to block with this one anyway. And then for a white or 2 Phyrexian mana, you can just choose a color. Another target creature you control gains Toxic 1 and Hexproof from that color and can't be blocked. So basically Mother of Runes, same stuff, but the Toxic one is very, very relevant. Why? Well, imagine if I have Glistener, for example. I slam in, and I double Invigorate, that's 9 Infect. And if you then give it Toxic 1, that's lethal. And for people who think that this is just something rare that happens, no. For example, in my in the tournament in the Netherlands, that was relevant, because in my 4th round, I believe, I actually won the game because of this exact situation, where I had Skrelv and Elf, was able to go slam in for 9 Infect, and then Toxic 1 makes it 10. So it happens quite a lot. Skrelv is one of those cards that you just want to have in every single fair matchup. You want to have it turn 1 every single time. Because if you untap with Skrelv, you can just always go for it. And your opponent needs to have counter magic, because removal no longer works. And removal is the thing what we are most afraid of when we're playing Infect. So Skrelv really makes it so the best cards against you, removal, no longer work. Also, for example, in tournament, I played against Delver twice, and I just won twice. Ever since the bannings and the printing of Skrelv, Delver feels favored for Infect, because they need to get rid of Skrelv. But if they, for example, have used 2 removal spells to get rid of this creature, that's fine. And that's also exactly what happened, I believe, in my 3rd round, could be the 2nd one. But check out the tournament board, because Skrelv has won me a couple of games against Delver as well. Same in my 1st round against Control, Skrelv was perfect. Now, they do play one of Karakas in the round 1, and that was unfortunate, but I mean, there's not a single card that's going to have only upsides. Legendary, that's the only downside that this card has, I believe. Artifact, maybe sometimes, but nobody brings in Artifact removal against Infect anyway. So Skrelv, I cannot be too excited about this card. I think you should be playing it. You will see that for people who have been following my content for a while now, or maybe who have seen the stream with Anu just a week after one hit, that I started with playing 4 Skrelvs. I've gone down to 3, and I think this is correct. 3 right now in the current meta. Online, I'm only playing 2, but I will show you that list in a couple of minutes. Because Skrelv is really good, but you really don't. If you're playing against combo, it's pretty bad. For me, 3 is also the perfect number, because, well, in the past we've always been playing 3 Vines of Vastwood, and this just slots in nicely in the spots where you used to play Vines of Vastwood. You now play 3 Skrelvs. So, why is Skrelv good as well? So Skrelv does basically a combination of what you want out of Vines of Vastwood and Berserk. Vines of Vastwood is no longer a pump spell. You know, these days in Legacy, when you're playing double green to pump your creature to make it +4/+4, that's just horrible. That's really, really bad. Way too slow, especially if you need another green, for example, to go for Berserk, for lethal. I felt for a while now that a Vines is no longer a pump spell. It's a protection spell, a very good one at that. But it's just, that's all it is. So if you keep that into account, that means that in our deck we usually play 4 Invigorates, maybe 1 Scale Up, 1 Become Immense. That's 6 pump spells. That's it, if you're not counting Vines as the pump spell, which I'm not doing anymore. So that's why I just prefer Skrelv, because that's the same protection, but it does it every single time when you want to. Or they need to use 2 removal spells on it, and then you still keep Skrelv. So it's much, much better. Also, it takes the role of Berserk, because usually Berserk, you want to have Berserk to get through the creatures that are in the way, but Skrelv can give your creature protection from a color, so it also does that. You still want to play Berserk, because I believe that a combination with Invigorate and Skill Up is just lethal straight away, which is very good. So I haven't cut Berserks. I've tried it, but I really like the combo aspect. You want to have it against other combo decks as well. So Skrelv makes it so Vines is no longer needed, and I haven't missed it anywhere. That's not true. I miss it in one matchup, specifically lands. That's it. Everywhere else, I prefer to have Skrelv. Fine trade-off by me. Let's go over that as well, because I'm no longer playing crop rotation, I'm no longer playing wasteland. Basically, what I've created here is I wanted to create a build that's just the most consistent build of Infect I've ever had, and I think this is it. So no longer do we have the silver bullets, no longer do we have the one-offs. You will see, well, that's not true. I'm playing one-off, which is Spell Pierce, but I'll go over that one soon. This is very streamlined, and this is also the first list where I actually like having 4 ponders, which is something that we didn't do in the past. This list specifically is so consistent that ponder is good, because ponder is great when you're looking for one specific thing, which is usually a pump spell in our deck, or Skrelv. So I've been playing 4 ponders in this list, very good. I'm not going to go down to 3 or 2 ponders anytime soon, I believe. I think this is perfect. Let's go over the pump spell suite, right? Of course, you're playing Invigorates. That's really the glue that ties it all together. Best pump spell in the deck. Berserk, straightforward. And then four scale up right here. That's not what I'm playing in Paper Magic. I'm playing 2 scale up, 2 Embiggens. So why am I playing 2 Embiggens, 2 scale-ups? The thing is that I've started out with playing 4 Embiggens and 0 scale-ups, but against combo decks, you really want to have scale-up, because that's just lethal turn 2, where if you have Invigorate and Embiggen, that's 9 damage usually, except if you're doing Embiggen on Inkmoth Nexus. So I like having the split of 2 scale-up, 2 Embiggens. For example, again, in my tournament, round 4, I played against a combo deck where I killed them turn 2 with scale-up and Invigorate, where Embiggen would not have done that. So it just shows you that all the decisions that I made in the deck construction were very relevant, and that's why I'm happy about them. Then let's go over to the Counter Magic suite. I've been playing 4 Forces, 4 Dazes for a while now. Really, back in the day, we played a split of 3-3, but I have gone up to 4-4, and I like that. I'm playing 1 Spell Pierce. I could see myself cutting 1 Skrelv for 1 more Spell Pierce if you're playing in a very control-heavy meta or a very combo-heavy meta. That's perfectly fine. But currently, in the paper meta that I'm usually playing in, I like the 3 Skrelv and 1 Spell Pierce. But you can adjust accordingly. So I've made the deck very streamlined, I believe, perfectly well positioned. And if you want, you can also, like, if you're playing in a very fair meta, for example, you can just cut 1 Spell Pierce and play 1 more Skrelv. That's also fine. Just adjust accordingly. Let's go to the sideboard. So a couple of things that are pretty straightforward. 4 Swords, the Plowshares. If you're playing white, Swords is so good for us because we don't care about the opponents gaining life. Even if we're playing against the Dark Depths deck, yeah, sure, you can gain 20 life. We do not care. So Swords, you play 4 of them in the side. It's really, really good against pretty much any creature-based deck, so you always want those. I'm playing 2 Uros. I've gotten questions about Knight of St. Catherine, because I've played that in the past as well. Currently, with the Delver decks being the way they're constructed right now, I believe Uro is better, because Uro not only gains life, but also draws you cards. I started playing Catherine because it was faster, right? You could play that turn 2, and Uro takes time to set up. But ever since the Prismatic, the Expressive Iteration ban, excuse me, they are usually not able to recover from an Uro, or they're not able to find the cards to stop Uro from escaping from the graveyard, which they were able to do in the past, because they always found Pyroblast. So I've gone back to Uro, and I'm really happy with it. I think it's a really good card. And if you ever escape Uro against Delver, it's game over. You win the game. So Uro specifically is just here for Delver strategies. Still the most popular deck, still very strong, so I think you need it. Another one of my pet cards where a lot of people thought it would be bad to play, but I'm in love with, is Ayani Sleeper Agent. I've also played Skrelv's Hive in the past. Here it is, for people who don't know Skrelv's Hive. Basically Bitter Blossom, but better for Infect. But I'm no longer playing Skrelv's Hive. The reason I played Skrelv's Hive is because it's also very good against Initiative, because you go wide, and that's a strategy that they have trouble with. So it was very good against Control and Initiative. However, Initiative right now is gone, or it's a bit slower, and the games I played against the new Initiative lists, I won fairly easily, because them not having a 1-drop usually is what we need. So Skrelv's Hive, no longer playing that because Well, I'm playing Ayans specifically to deal with the control decks, and control decks have a very difficult time with Ayani Sleep Agent because Prismatic Ending really doesn't hit it. The only decks that can get rid of Ayani Sleep Agent are the decks that play 4 colors, but usually I've been encountering Jeskai or even blue-white control, and if you resolve Ayani against them, it's just game over. It wins the game on its own, and that's exactly what happened in my round 1, by the way, so check out the tournament report. Because the -6, you can get there quite easily, and we can even resolve Ayani turn 2 when we have a Noble turn 1. It's really, really powerful, and as I said, it wins the game on its own, which is what happened in my round 1, game 3, where I had Ayani and I was just able to plus a while, and I was suddenly the control deck. And a well-timed -3 on Inkmoth Nexus just made me slam in twice and win the game. Then we have some straightforward artifact/enchantment removal spells. Seeds of Innocence, I've been playing that for a very long while now, because, again, the life gain is irrelevant, and blowing up everything from all the artifacts flying around is pretty damn good. Currently, 1 Seeds, 2 Force of Vigors, but I think I'm going to go to 2 Seeds, 1 Force of Vigor, because I was expecting an uptick in Blood Moon decks, but that hasn't happened. So, yeah, I think about going back to Seeds of Innocence, playing 2 Seeds and 1 Force of Vigor. But if you're afraid of Blood Moon decks, just keep it as it is right now. Rest is straightforward: Surgical Graveyard-based decks and Flusterstorm against combo/control decks. So I'm very happy with this list, and I think this is what you should be playing. It's my new Legacy 2.0 build. I'm going to show you now my 5.0 games, where I should address that I made some small changes, and I'm going to show you just the list right now that I played in the league. Right, here we go. So this is what I played in the league. Not that many changes, honestly. As I said, if you're expecting a lot of combo decks, and the Magic Online meta is very combo heavy, just cut 1 Skrelv as I did here, and I'm playing 1 Flusterstorm in the main. It's also very good if you want to kill them, because Flusterstorm just allows you to always counter the stuff that they're playing, especially in the main. People don't expect it. And then the sideboard, you know, on Magic Online, everyone plays Reanimator. It's just such a prevalent deck, and you can see that I adjusted my sideboard accordingly. I'm playing 3 Surgicals and 1 Gravdigger's Cage as well, just to say I am not going to lose to Reanimator. And my win rate against Reanimator, I just checked, is about 80% with this build. So Reanimator is pretty easy to hate, just if you adjust accordingly, and I think this is what you want to be doing if you're encountering a lot of Reanimator, as I was. So this is the list that I'm playing right now, and let's go into the game, shall we? Okay, so round number 1. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to play these games, and I'm going to pause at certain points when I think it's important to talk a bit through them. And I'm just going to talk you through it the way I play the games. I'm probably going to pause every single opening hand. So if you look at this, my opening hand's pretty damn good. It's always nice to be able to start with Skrelv, as I said before, and it's really nice that this happens immediately, because I'm now able to fetch into Tundra for Skrelv and have Days Up. Excellent. Usually I felt that recently, when you have 1 pump spell, you usually win the game because our pump spells are that good. If you compare this to Modern, by the way, we don't play a single pump spell that's legal in Modern. We play Scale Up, Embiggen, and Berserks. So that just shows you the difference in power level between Legacy and Modern. And I really think that's the case, because my win rate in Legacy has been the highest it's ever been, and in Modern it's probably the lowest it's ever been. So yeah, differences. Anyway, we have a Legacy, so let's just jump into the game. Opponents on the play, so they fetch, and here we go. And I'm like, yeah, let's do this. It's the return of Infect is here. So I haven't played against Infect all that much online, really. It doesn't happen all that often because it's not played a whole lot. So I draw into Invigorate. Excellent top deck there. And here it's interesting, right? So I decide to not even play Skrelv. I want to advise you that to maybe pause this video at certain points, which I will do as well, and maybe take a time, if you're playing Infect and you want to improve, to see what you would do and compare them to my plays. Not that my play is always the correct one, but it's interesting to figure out differences and how other people play differently. Anyway, so I decide to not play Skrelv here, and the reasoning for this is quite easy, because Skrelv can't block. So there's no reason for me to play Skrelv, because it's not going to do anything. The only thing that it does is makes me weaker to a turn 2 kill, because I no longer have access to Spell Pierce. Skrelv can't block, so what I want to have is, since I don't have a threat, and I have a turn 3 kill with Scale Up and Invigorate, I want to go for that. And Skrelv is suddenly irrelevant here, so you want to play all the cards the best way you can, and I think playing Skrelv here is wrong because it just shows to my opponent that if they can kill me, they should do so, which of course I don't want to die. So they tap out, they play Noble, and I'm afraid of double Invigorate here, but luckily for me they do not have it. Well, it was unlikely. So, and here, so usually against an opponent's Infect deck, I do decide to play Blooded Agent here, and this is for a multitude of reasons. One, well, Blooded Agent, if it resolves, that means I just win the game next turn. I can also block the Elf with Blooded Agent, and usually whoever has Blooded Agent first wins. I'm also able to daze their daze, which is perfect for me. And I'm like, yeah, I think there's no way I'm not going to play this Blooded Agent, right? My opponent has Inkmoth Nexus, and this is an interesting spot. So what would you do here? My opponent has 4 cards in hand. I haven't seen a single pump spell. Now, so this is a difficult decision for me because if I do not block, I could just die. However, if I untap, I believe I win. And I decide to just, yeah, make him have it. And here I find Force of Will 2, so I just know that I win. And this is just the power level of Blooded Agent, right? It's so powerful, so strong. And usually in the mirror, whoever has Blood Agent first wins. Alright, let's go to game 2. So my opening hand here, this is, how should I put it? It's not bad. It's not excellent, but I think it's too good to mulligan. I have Lethal, I have Inkmoth Nexus, I have Force of Will, so I should be able to prevent them from doing their stuff. I'm not going to counter a Noble for sure, I just want to prevent Blood Agent from hitting the board, really. So we draw into Brainstorm, that's really nice, can find us the stuff that we need. Here they play a fetch, and there we go, called it. So as I said before, you want to prevent Blooded Agent from hitting the board. If you can do that, you usually win. We draw into Elf, which is really nice, because if I draw into another green source next turn, I can just kill them through blockers. They have Inkmoth Nexus, and here they get rid of Elf. With Prismatic Ending, that's interesting, so they are not playing my list, because I am no longer playing Prismatic Endings. They followed up with Blooded Agent, which is unfortunate. I brainstorm into an okay hand. I know that they need to kill right now, or I'm going to kill them. Now, they only have 2 cards in hand, so I'm feeling pretty safe. It's unlikely that I'm going to die here, and I'm definitely going to try and kill them for sure. So they slam in. Let's see if they have it, which they do not. So I'm pretty happy. I'm going to scale up first, and here are the vines, very smart, so now I can't target it anymore. It's really okay though, because I have Noble, so I'm going to be able to slam in. They only have 1 card left in hand, so again, it's very unlikely that I'm going to die next turn. So I do just slam in with Elf, because even if they block with the Nexus, that's fine. I think this is an interesting decision by them. They just attack with everything. This really screams to me that they do not have pump spells, otherwise you wouldn't do this. I think I disagree with this, because I think you just what you want to do is you just want to slam in with Agent and keep these 2 next side back. That's what I believe, because that means I need exactly Berserk to win the game. And even then, I still need another pump spell. I only have 2 cards in hand. So I would just attack with Agent and block my Elf and Inkmoth Nexus with their double Nexus, because again, they have Blooded Agent, which is the creature that you want. So I think I disagree with this play here. So me drawing into swords makes it so I think I just win, especially since I have Noble. I know I have Lethal next turn with the Berserk. I'm not going to do anything here unless they use a pump spell, because that's how you want to play against Infect. They have another creature, which is fine. I know I can block through, I can just kill them through that, because I have Berserk. That's going to deal 6. So if they block, I swords, boom, dead. What I could also have done is if they, for example, if they use a pump spell on Elf here to prevent my Elf from winning, in response I can swords, and that means that all the trample damage now goes through, because the blocked damage is now 0, so that would mean I would deal 6 Infect. So I was really prepared for everything. So yeah, pretty cool game, especially since it's against Infect. So 1-0. Let's go to the next one. Alright, next round. So opening hand, pretty damn good here. It has pretty much everything I want. If I'm playing as a combo deck, I will annihilate them. Otherwise, no, you don't need a pump spell to win. If I slam in with Blooded Agent and protected a couple of times, that's lethal too. Pretty much the Delver game plan here, which of course works. I'm on the draw, so they start with Islands. That's what I love to see. Another Force Will, that's really good. I'm definitely going to be able to keep my Blooded Agent alive. So I'm not sure what I'm up against yet. We see a Brainstorm, doesn't tell me anything. Could be any deck, really. They fetch. Chandra. So I'm expecting a control-ish kind of deck right now. I draw the Invigorate, so I'm like, yeah, this game is mine. At least that's what I expect. As I said, usually our pump spells are so powerful that one pump spell is usually good enough, especially when you have like Agent Urza Saga. So at this point, let's think, right? What do you think we're up against when you have Urza Saga? I think what I was thinking right here is probably Cephalid Breakfast, because they usually have a combination of a control-y kind of game plan alongside Sagas to get the Shukos, etc. So that's what I was thinking. So we draw another land, perfect here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and grind them out. I'm well prepared to win this game, and I'm feeling very happy, especially with me untapping and them not using removal spell. So I'm just going to slam in here, do nothing, pass. I could also invigorate here, because that means if they swords I can spell pierce, but I decide not to. It's really whatever. Okay, so here, what you want to do is you don't want to counter Nomads on core. Why? Because it does the same as Shuko, and they can search up Shuko. So I don't want to fight over these Nomads. The only thing I want to fight over is a Cephalid. That's it. You don't need to fight over the Nomad. I'm able to slam in here, so I can't see myself losing, especially with them not having drawn a land. So I'm feeling pretty favored. So here we go. This is what you want to counter. I force. They force back. I spell pierce their force. And they have Flusterstorm. So that was a pretty cool interaction, which I decide to say, sure. Flusterstorm main, I mean, that's pretty cool. That's what we are doing as well. And now I force back. So that was a pretty cool stack right there. And, well, I know we win, right? There we go. Invigorate. Get him dead. Boom. Good game. Let's go to the next one. I think I forgot to address the sideboarding, of course. I should probably do that as well, because it's important. What you want to do against Cephalid Breakfast is usually you want to stay the combo deck. So what I usually only do is I bring in Swords and Flusterstorm. That's it. I do not bring in Surgical, because if I bring in Surgical, they've already done what they needed to do, being going for the combo, and I don't think that's the game plan that we want to be doing. I think we want to be proactive, so I don't like Surge. Oh, it's not bad, but it's not the game plan that I enjoy. If you want to go for the Surgical route, it's fine. It really is. It's just not what I want to do. I want to try and win. So that's what I do against Cephalid Breakfast. Bring in Swords, bring in Surgical, bring in Flusterstorms, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's see how we went game 2. So pretty damn good hand. I'm very happy to keep this. I would love to have one more land in here, but otherwise it has pretty much everything I want. I'm going to play a bit of a reactive game here. Turn 1 Nomads is a bit scary, and I'm afraid of them going turn 2 into the Cephalid, because I don't have really anything going on. They do go for Stoneforge, which is fine. Probably fetch up Shuko. Indeed, here we see the Shuko. They slam in. I have double Invigorate, so I'm pretty happy here. I decide to play Elf. I decide to play Ponder. Digging, yeah, let me just pause right there. So why didn't I play Elf and why did I play Ponder first? The idea here was that I want to have counter magic, because I'm very afraid of them just playing the Illusionist, and then I'm not able... I can Swords, but they definitely have one Flusterstorm, one Force within there. So I was digging towards a counter magic spell, which unfortunately I did not find. So I also decided not to play Elf, because I know that if they go for it, I have zero interaction. And if I'm going to die with these cards in hand, I'm going to feel very bad. So I decided not to play Elf here. I know that next turn I have Swords to have some piece of interaction, even though it's, well, I don't have any counter magic. If they want to try and slam me to death with Shuko, I can race that fairly easily, so I'm pretty happy with that. So now that I've drawn Force of Will, I'm feeling pretty good, because that means I can kill them through this. So I'm just going to say whatever. And here we go. Scale up. I'm going to slam in. And I'm like, yeah. I decided not to invigorate here. This is another interesting play. So with them not doing anything, this to me screams I have a hand full of interaction. And if I invigorate and I have only one force will effect, I know that, well, I'm probably going to lose. So what I did here is I actually just was scanning the waters, just played a scale up, and what they usually do, my opponents, if they have swords, is either do it end of turn or before damage. So this was to check whether or not they had swords. So now I believe they do not have it, if I'm looking at the way they played. And they did slam in last time with both of these, so I'm like, yeah, so I guess I can now, in my turn, I can invigorate and win from there. So I slam in, I invigorate, here we see the swords. I do fight back, and this is what I was expecting, right? So it's nice that it happens the way I expected it to. And I do think that the way we played it here was correct, because this sets it up so now next turn I'm still going to be able to win because I still have swords for when they have their illusionist, and I can still kill them with Inkmoth Nexus and my Invigorate. All this would not have been possible if I had gone all in with the Scale Up and Invigorate, because then what would have happened is they would have swords, I force, they force back. Instead, I would have done 0 infect damage, I wouldn't have had a threat, and I would have dealt well, nothing. So that would have been a losing game plan. Right now, I'm still pretty well set up to win. Of course, if they have Illusionist plus like Flusterstorm or stuff like that, that sucks. So, the thing is now, I still lose, because what they have is the Illusionist, and that's pretty much the only thing I really didn't want to see. Problem is that if I just swords here, what's going to happen is they can just infinitely do this again. So I know that if they play this correctly, I just lose. What I'm just going to try and do is I'm just going to make him use the Illusionist targets a couple of times. And I know I lost. So what I do here is, and this is something that I recommend doing to everyone, if you're going to lose anyway, what you really want to have is you want to have information, because that's the most important thing for the next game, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let my opponent do all of this. Again, if I had swords, the Illusionist, they could just in response do all of the nomads again, so it wouldn't have changed anything. So what I do is I want to see what they are putting into their deck from the sideboard. So don't concede too soon. You want to have as much information as you can for the next game. So as you can see here, I don't see that many removal spells, which is interesting. I already knew about the Flusterstorm, but currently I'm only seeing one of them. I've seen Teferi, which is interesting. Also very good to know about Teferi. But to me, the main thing that was standing out here is that they really aren't playing a lot of removal spells. The only thing that I've seen on their end is swords that I saw last time. But that's pretty much it. So I'm seeing 2 swords right here. And usually what most people bring in against me is also prismatic endings, but apparently this list wasn't playing it. So I felt like my opponent was very, very removal light. Very important to know for my next game, of course. But we are going to lose here. So I'm just going to shut this down now, because they had everything that they need. I lose. So no changes for game 3, but very important to know that my opponent is very removal light. So I will play this a bit differently if my hand comes down to it, of course. Whoops, I was thinking that I'm playing. I said, yes, I would want to play first. Of course, I'm going to do that. Of course. So opening hand, pretty damn good. It has a threat. It has a bit of semi-pump spell. I have the Brainstorm to find what I need. So pretty damn good. My opponent is mulliganing. Doesn't really matter. Their card quality is very good. I'm going to start with Elf here. I'm really okay if they just source it. And if they don't, that's even better, because I'm just going to slam in slowly. Keep your Brainstorms for as long as you can. I find Skrelv really good in the matchup too, especially since my opponent was only playing, well, I've only seen double swords. I imagine they play 4. They just didn't bring in the prismatic endings. And this is perfectly fine by me. Not the best Brainstorm, but not bad either, because I can just play the waiting game. I'm going to slam in first before playing Skrelv, because I want to have, I want to make it seem like I have the Vines activation up. So I'm going to play the Skrelv pass. If they get rid of Elves, it's fine. Skrelv's already done its job. And now, if I untap with Skrelv, all I need to do is just find 1 pump spell and kill them. So pretty straightforward. They play Shuko, and you can see the power level of Skrelv, right? If you untap with Skrelv, you just find a pump spell and kill them. It's that easy, and that's what I'm doing right here. I'm very happy to show you the power level of Skrelv. So I can just freely throw this Invigorate on Elf. I can pay for the days, and now what are they going to do? So they are going to Flusterstorm. That's really okay. They've used up pretty much everything to deal with my 1-of Invigorate that I had in hand, and I also had Scale Up on top, keep that in mind. So, and now even here, what I can do with Skrelv is, again, Toxic 1, very relevant, because now I'm going to be slamming in with 2 Infect and 1 Toxic. So next turn, I don't even need Scale Up anymore. I can kill them without a pump spell. So the Toxic 1, very relevant. Now they have the Illusionist, and now in response to them equipping this, I can actually swords here. They, in response, swords my Skrelv. So again, shows you the power level. And again, the swords would have killed my elf usually, but because I had Skrelv, I was able to just go all in because removal spells no longer work against us, which is the best thing that you can do. So I won this game because of Skrelv. So the power level is very good. Even against this combo deck, they play more of a control-oriented game against us. Skrelv was the MVP. Alright, so pretty damn cool. Let's go to the next round. So for round number 3, I know we're playing against Sneaky Show because this player right here always plays Sneaky Show. So I'm going to, I'm going to keep my hand based on that. So this hand isn't great. However, I do have Ponder. It does have double Elf, so it's not bad either. Especially since my opponent mulligans to 6, I decide to keep. They even mulligan to 5 because they know I'm on Infect, so they need to mulligan pretty heavily. I'm feeling pretty favored, especially since now that I've drawn Force Whirl, I can just, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be slamming in for 3 Infect each turn. That's fine by me. I can't imagine them having like Sneak Attack or Show and Tell and Counter Magic, because if they have that, that means they don't have any threat to put into play, so I'd be down with that. Okay, so yeah, pretty much as the way I expected it to be. They just go for it because they mulligan to 5, so they have to. Me finding Flusterstorm is very good. Question now is, do they have another one? Sneak Attack or Show and Tell, which they do not. And I want to win as quickly as possible. So I draw into Ponder. So I just dig for a Pump Spell, which I do find, especially since I have the Flusterstorm, I'm going to go for it straight away. And you will see that Flusterstorm is very good when you're playing against a combo-heavy meta, which is what I'm doing right here against Sneaky Show. And this is why. If you have a Pump Spell, you can just always go for it and ensure that you win. So that was pretty straightforward. Cool game. Let's go to the next one. Sideboarding a Sneak Attack, fairly easy. You just bring in Flusterstorms and you also bring in Force of Vigors. Force of Vigors isn't that great. You could also bring in you can also bring in Surgicals, which is what I do, because I have more cards I want to take out than leave in. Skrelv isn't that great, and neither is Inkmoth Nexus. So cut them all or trim a few, that's personal flavor, but that's what you want to do. Let's go to game 2. So my opening hand's pretty good. You can see the Force of Vigors that I've brought in. That's for getting rid of Sneak Attack if they do resolve it. You can also sometimes hit a Petal because they usually just play it out. So I decided not to play Noble here. Reason for that is you don't want to walk straight into a Daze when they turn 2. Of course, what I do want to do here is I just want to find a land so I can play this Noble fairly safely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fetch, I'm going to drop, and end of turn I'm going to Brainstorm. Dig for a land. We do find a land, Tundra. Unfortunately, what I don't have is another green card. So if I play Noble here, that's a bit unfortunate because that means I'm not able to Force a Vigor. However, I have double Force and a Daze, so I think I just need to do that. They Brainstorm. I'm going to let that one go. If I had Spell Pierce, I definitely would have fired it off. And then we have this one right here. So my hand was excellent, but not against specifically Boseiju. It's interesting that they left Boseiju in. I don't think it's that good against us because we are pretty damn fast. So, I mean, they probably just have it always. So they have Fury, I'm going to have to counter the Fury. They have Veil of Summer, I'm going to have to counter the Veil of Summer. And I'm like, yeah, this game's over, especially with them at Flusterstorm as well. It's funny that I actually lost to Fury and not to them. I just concede here. I'm like, yeah. There's no way I'm coming back from this. So I just concede. So we lose to Fury from Sneak Attack. I think the main reason why Modern Infect is so bad right now is because of all the Evoke creatures. They're way too powerful. Alright, game 3. I have the Mulligan. So this is interesting. My opening hand, my 7 was very good, but it was lacking lands. And this hand is just, you know what? I'm just going to get you dead as quickly as possible. I didn't want to mulligan to 5 because this just makes them have it. And very often, especially against Sneak Attack, this works. Because even if they Force Will here, right? If they Force Will my Berserk, that's okay. But they do need to have it. So I just like keeping the combo when you can. Of course, I would love to have some piece of interaction here, but you can't have it all. And we just kill them. That's just what we do. It's brutal against brutal, really. Okay, next one. Remember when I said that Magic Online has a very combo-heavy meta? I think it shows. So, This hand's pretty good. Bit land heavy, but I've brainstormed to get rid of it, so that's perfectly fine. Now, not when we are playing against Belcher. So, which is what we're going to be seeing here. Now, funny thing is, they stumble. So they gamble, they discard gamble. They have one card in hand, and I'm not really sure what happened here. So they have double diamonds, and they just, I don't know, they whiffed. It's funny because with me drawing Force Will, I'm like, yeah, so this game is for me. I can't see myself losing in any way. So I don't know. I guess they, in my head, they gambled towards Echo of Eons, and they had the Echo in hand. But then you could also just use the diamond twice and then Echo of Eons, right? So I'm not sure what happened here. Maybe they gambled wrong, or they fetched the wrong card. I can't imagine you not playing the Echo of Eon. So I wasn't sure what happened here. I find pump spells and I kill them. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what happened here. Maybe they misclicked with their gamble. I have no idea. Anyway, this matchup should be good for us. So let's go to the next one. So of course, knowing that I'm playing against Belcher, this is funny because look at my hand. I have 0 lands, but this hand against Belcher is pretty much everything I want. You don't need lands against Belcher, you need interaction. I have double force and surgical, so there is no way how I am mulliganing this away. I also have elf, so I will find the land eventually, and as soon as I find the land, I win the game. I'm even throwing away this invigorate. You don't need pump spells in this matchup. You don't need to win. You need to prevent them from winning. It's so weird, but it's true. And there we go. Boom. So they just Vela Summoned. Now I have double force, so I decide, yeah, it's not going to happen. Of course, since I force a will their Vela Summer, they need to go for it, which they do. And then just surgical away the Char Belcher. And honestly, at this point, I'm thinking, so how can I still lose here? They have the Goblin spell, that one, the spell that makes all the goblins. What's the name? I'm forgetting the name right now. But if they go for that route, especially with them having 0 cards in hand, that's not going to turn out well for them. And this is how the game usually goes, right? You don't need the win yourself against Belcher. What you need is you need to prevent them from winning, and that's how you win. So that's exactly what happened. So let's go to the last one. Round number 5 was a very, very cool round. I think it was very nice to be able to finish up against... well, to finish up with so many cool games, let's just hop in because I don't want to spoil anything. I'm not sure what I'm up against. This player plays a lot of different decks. Hand's nuts. If there was one tropical island in here, there was a snap keep. Unfortunately, now I have to mulligan. This is okay. It's not excellent or anything, but it's fine. So I start with an island, so I'm expecting a control-y kind of deck. Could also be Cephalid breakfasts. We'll see. So Noble turn 1 is always good against those kind of decks. My opponent was apparently thinking in their end step what they were going to do. So I just played my fetch land, I played a tropical, and I played Noble, of course. That's pretty straightforward. Really happy with the day's draw. That's going to be really good. A Vista, not do anything. So I'm pretty sure that it's a control deck right now. Play the Nexus. I find a bunch of pump spells alongside what I have right here. Very happy with that. So I'm just going to pass through the turn and look for my spot to go for it. I was thinking about maybe I should Daze the Brainstorm to make him tap out, but nah, I decided not to. So with them having Brainstorm, I could just go for the kill here. I'm a bit afraid, so I'm thinking for a while what to do. Definitely going to animate the Nexus Slam in, and it's difficult because, you know, I have Force and Daze, but if they have Swords and another piece of counter magic, you know, that could be scary for me. So what I did, and I really like this play, even looking back on it. So what I did is, usually what my opponents want to do, especially as a control deck, is you want to wait as long as possible to try and kill my creatures. So what I did is, I just slammed it with Inkmoth Nexus, and I used 1 Invigorate. Reason for this is that, as a control player, you are never going to fight Infect in combat unless you absolutely have to. So I know that if I'm going to play one Invigorate, that will usually happen. Because it's only 6 Infect. What I can do next turn is I can just attack with 2 Inkmoth next. That's becoming quite scary for my opponents. And then I can Invigorate, if they use the swords, the other one, and have Force and Daze Up. So I think this is a really clever play, which is something that a lot of players would do, probably. I'm afraid of the blowout, because I think that this is one of those hands that, don't get me wrong, if you want to go all in here, I can see why you want to do that. I did decide not to. And I like that decision. So here have the planes. And I also want to bait out. I also want to see and bait out what they have in their hand, right? And they did have the swords. So I do think it's a very good play on our end. Especially with them swordsing the noble. That to me screams that they are very afraid of me playing both Nexi or animating them both and then slamming in that way. So, yeah, I was very happy with the way this played out. Then swordsing the noble was very clever as well. So I really just now I want to draw a land and get them that way. Really hoping that they just tap out with a bunch of stuff. And then they play the back to basics. That is so unfortunate, because back to basics is back-breaking. Especially with them being able to have Forceful to protect it. I daze here, but that's just to pick up the Tropical Island. I know that with this resolving, it's probably game. Back to Basics main is a card that I'm no longer playing around. So looking back on this, I do think that it's correct what we did, right? Because if I had attacked here last turn, I would have double invigorated on my Nexus. What would have happened is they would have swordsed, I would have forced, and they would have forced back, and then I wouldn't have been able to daze. So what we did is correct. Even though it didn't work out, we did play it correctly. Now we do draw Inkmoth Nexus, which is excellent, just what I needed, especially with me having double invigorate. So right here, I'm like, yeah, man, this is what I need in order to steal away this game. I'm going to play the Nexus. Next turn I have double invigorate. So the only way I lose here is if they have a swords. If they have counter magic, that's not going to be good enough. So they need swords, or they could also have a blocker. So yeah, they've just drawn 2 cards, so we will need to see whether or not they have it. Now they did play Ponder and did not shuffle, which is scary. So let's see what they have. And they have a blocker. So that sucks to be me. But it was a cool game, and it could have just as easily gone our way. So pretty sweet stuff. What I love about playing against control decks is it's all about who has the best knowledge of the game. I'm always feeling very favored against control decks. But if you're playing against a very good control player, it can be difficult. And back to basics. Now that I know about back to basics, that is scary. Sideboarding, of course, you bring in my man, Ayani Sleeper Agent, best card in the matchup, and I like Surgicals and Fluster Storms. Let's see the opening hand here. Perfect hand. Well, I wouldn't say perfect. It's pretty good. It has everything you need. You have Elf, Agent, Inkmoth Nexus, Divide Damage, 1 Pump Spell, and you have cantrips to find what you need. You've maybe seen that we've had a lot of cantrips. I mean, if we're playing 4 Brainstorms, 4 Ponders, that's why I really like them in this build. I'm just going to slam down Elf, because very often they just force if they don't have interaction, or they just get rid of it straight away, as they should. And since I have so many threats, I'm fine with them getting rid of the Elf. This is just baiting, and if they don't get rid of it, that's even better. So Flatted Strand, Plains, so that means they will definitely move the Elf with a Prismatic Ending. So of course they get the Plains. That means that they are playing to get eventually the back to basics, as they should. Back to basics, if they resolve it against Infect, it's so difficult. You know, I'm no longer playing a basic in my deck as well, so it's really, really good against us. Pretty good draw here on my end, another Invigorate. So I'm going to try and present lethal as quickly as possible. And here I'm thinking, like, do I want to play the Nexus? Well, I'm definitely going to play Nexus. Do I want to play the Blooded Agent? Or do I want to find Pump Spells and dig for maybe Counter Magic? I decide to play the Blooded Agent. If they have another removal spell, so be it. Even if they remove Agent here, what I can do next turn is I can just animate Nexus and double Invigorate, which would be very, very good. Untapping with Agent here is excellent. To me, that's says that they either have 0 or 1 removal spell, and they are afraid to use it. So I'm definitely going to try and dig for protection spells. Best thing in this situation would probably Fluster Storm. I also really would like Skrelv. That would be excellent. We find another Nexus though. Perfect by me. So of course we're going to play the Nexus. I'm going to ponder first, and we have the 4 of a kind Invigorate. So that's pretty funny. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to slam in. So what would you do in this situation? This is an interesting spot in the game. What I decided to do is I'm just going to slam in with both of these. And I'm kind of hoping that they swords before combat, because then I can just kill them with triple Invigorate. And if they don't, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to divide my Invigorates. Because if they get rid of one of them, I know that I have 2 more Invigorates coming. And this really makes it so that they need to have swords right now. And since they haven't played a removal spell in their turn, as I said, usually to me that screams they have either none or exactly 1 protection removal spell that they keep for when they really need to. So I felt this was a really safe time to go for it. And we just win. I hope you're all set for this. This was the last game of round number 5, playing for the 5-0. Always nice. Always exciting. So opening hand, what to say? It's fine. But again, we have so many cantrips that we should be able to find what we need. Of course, I like a proactive game plan against control decks, so I'd rather have threats. But I guess this is okay. I'm not going to mulligan this away. Really nice draw here. I was very happy with the Noble. Noble is so good because you always want to bolt the bird. So even if they get rid of it, that's fine by me. So definitely gonna play the Misty. Gonna get a drop, play the Noble, and see what happens. If they don't get rid of it, that's fine by me as well. Because then I have the Brainstorm, I have a lot of mana. But usually the opponents do get rid of it. It's also very nice to play around a potential back to basics. Noble does give you mana that otherwise you wouldn't have. Them cantripping a lot, probably digging for removal spells. That's usually what control decks do against you. We get to untap with the Noble, which is something that I wasn't expecting, but that's a good sign. Our opponent didn't shuffle with Ponder, though. It's really important, especially against control decks, to take note of what your opponents are doing with their Ponders. So I draw into Bladder Agent, and here I'm thinking like, okay, so do I want to play this right now? I have 0 protection. I don't want to protect this with Force Will. Force Will is really for stopping the back to basics next turn if it comes down. So I wanna play the Agent when I can protect it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna play the Brainstorm, and here we have my man. So I'm definitely gonna play my man because that is excellent. I'm not going to play the Noble, because I'm a bit afraid of Terminus. Not going to lie, that's a bit scary. Assuming that they do play it. So Ponder, that's fine by me. Probably digging for removal spells, seeing what they should do. I think they're going to get rid of Skrelv first. I'm going to fight over the Skrelv, and they Pyroblast. Skrelv has done its job. They have now gotten rid of 2 spells that normally would have gone to Bladder Agents, being Ending and Pyroblast. So even though I'm not able to untap with it, it has still done the job. And imagine if I untap here with Skrelv. That's even better, right? That's why I love the card so much. Whatever you want to do with Skrelv, or whatever happens with it, it's always it's always good for us. So Tropical Island, not what you want to see here. I do play Agents, play the Trop, and I decide to just commit to the board. If they find Terminus now, that really sucks for me, but so be it. Now the thing is, with Double Noble and Scale Up, I could kill him with regular damage too, so I decided to just slam in with Noble Hierarch, even though this, well, it really puts me on shields down. I do want to play the Noble, because if they play back to basics here, that would actually be fine. If they play back to basics, I have 2 Nobles that can provide me with mana. So, and their Volcanic Island wouldn't untap, so I'd be okay with that trade. Wouldn't be happy with it, but would be okay. I can still play the game. So they are going to play Narset. That's really fine by me. Unfortunately, they find the Counterbalance. Now the thing is that Counterbalance against our deck isn't that great as it is against Delver specifically. I think Counterbalance is fine, but you should be able to play around it once you know how. And we are going to do that very, very nicely, if I do say so myself. So Narset, unfortunate, but not the end of the world. They have swords that weigh our Agent, which is unfortunate. So they had a pretty good lining up spells, as Control often has, I am able to just get rid of the, well, not get rid of, but prevent Narset from drawing any more cards. Very afraid now of the, what's the name of the card? The card that makes it so you get to draw 7 again. We both get to do that, but I'm not going to be able to draw cards if they have Narset. I always forget the name of that card. So at least I'm happy that they didn't get 2 cards out of the Narset. Drawing Tropical is unfortunate, but the card I really want to see right now is Ayani. If I had Ayani here, boom, game over. So they play the counter balance. And now it becomes interesting because I'm going to have to try and navigate my way through this counterbalance. Now they have used up a lot of resources. Only 2 cards in hand. Very important for me to know. I draw the Ponder. Definitely going to attack Narset first, of course, because with Ponder I wouldn't be able to draw a card. And since my opponent hasn't played a cantrip or anything like that, I figure that this is the time for me to go for it. So I'm going to slam in with on the Narset first. If they Swords Noble here, that would be perfect. That would be everything I want. Get rid of the removal spells. You can see my opponent thinking about it for a while. So it seems to me like they have some kind of removal spell. I'm not sure, of course. Ah, this is the one. That's the name of the card. The Day's Undoing. So I'm very happy that I was able to get rid of the Narset. And here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the Bladder Agent because I've seen Prismatic Ending on top. So I know that Agent would resolve. And they had a Force of Will left, so now I know everything in their hand. I'm going to show them here. So I know that they have a Mountain in hand, and they don't know what's on top. So I'm like, I've drawn the Brainstorm. Excellent, excellent. So this is the best timing for me to brainstorm and see what we find. However, they find Swords. Perfect card on top for them. Now, keep track of the life totals. They are at 12, so I'm like, yeah, man, this Noble is going to do some heavy lifting. So I can just keep on attacking, and who knows, maybe I can get them with the regular damage. But a really cool game, right? I'm just so excited at this point. It's very cool the way things have been going. So I'm slamming in with the Noble. Mountain in hand, I know about that. They will draw these Swords. So I know if I find Ayani here, game over. So I really wish that I was able to find Ayani here, then I could show you the power level of the card. Okay, I'm able to deal 2 damage. There we go, they draw the Swords for the turn. They pass. Pretty good draw here. They draw the Agent. So, well, we draw the Agent. So what I'm going to do is, I don't think there's a lot of 2 mana spells in their deck. So I'm gonna try and bait out the Swords. I think that will be very nice if I can do that. So I'm gonna slam with the Noble because again, regular damage, dude. It's quite good. So I just slam down the Agent. I'm gonna slam in with Noble. And the main thing here is what I want to do is I want to see what's on top, because depending on what was on top, I might have just used the scale up. Teferi is unfortunate. That's a really good draw for them, but so be it. I imagine that they're just going to bounce the Agent if they have it. So who knows? Maybe I can just scale up at a given point and kill them with the regular damage, because I want them to use the Swords on Agent or Nexus. I'm going to kill Teferi here because that's too good, and this is excellent. They actually Swords away. They Swords away my Noble, which is, well, I don't know about that. And here, this is an interesting spotlight. So I know that they have Mountain, which they played. So I know that the card in hand is Island. So on top, that's going to be something in the blinds. So they have no cards in hand that can stop me. So what I want to do here is, and this is important, you do not want to start with Scale Up, because in their deck, the only 3-drop I'm aware of is going to be the, I've forgotten, Days Undoing and Teferi. So what you want to do here is you want to Invigorate first, scan the waters. I think they just have to reveal, and then I know that I'm going to kill them, or that I should not cast a Scale Up. It's possible that I Invigorate the Bladder Agent and they do not reveal with Counterbalance, but I would still cast Scale Up anyway, because this is the best spot that I can get. And look at this, because I use the Invigorate first, that means I get to see the prismatic ending, and that's also very, very good for us, because prismatic ending, what's going to happen here next turn is prismatic ending can hit Blighted Agents. However, it can't hit Inkmoth Nexus. It's a land, and prismatic ending just only hits non-lands. So they're going to play the island here. They didn't play it. And we also here, we find the Invigorate, and I'm like, yeah, this is everything I wanted, because what I can do now is I can animate the Nexus, and they can use prismatic ending, but they can't use it on Nexus. So if I just animate Nexus and Invigorate, the only way how I can lose here is, well, not, I believe, because if I Invigorate and they reveal like a Teferi or a Days Undoing, that means I can scale up. So I think this is just perfectly fine for us and the win. And honestly, I really abused this counterbalance to my benefit, and that's how we won. Boom. There we go, 5-0. I loved that last game. It was so cool, and especially abusing the counterbalance to squeeze out a win here was very, very cool. I just wished that there was an Iani here, because that would have been really cool to win that way as well. But it just shows you the power level of the cards. We saw Skrelv do some heavy lifting in a lot of games. Really love that card. And honestly, as I said, Infect very, very strong right now. We had a combination of some combo decks, which is always a good matchup. But we also played against Cephalid Breakfast, which is, well, pretty much a controller game plan. And we finished against Jeskai Control, which is very control heavy, of course. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I think it's very clear that Infect is strong in the current meta. And if you have any questions about the list or any other things that you want to know about the deck, feel free to hit me up, because I've been seeing other people pick up this new Infect brew as well. And yeah, I hope to see you soon for another video. Bye guys, cheers!